on, everybody? Special guest here, back again, Justin Heller, former Hurricane. We're going to do our season preview edition here. We're going to break this thing down. We're going to do Backcourt. We're going to do a mailbag question and answer session, go to the front court, and then some bold predictions. So I'm looking forward to this, Justin. Dude, it's been 10 years ago. You guys were getting ready to start your championship quest here. Just how's it going, and your thoughts on kind of that there?
Yeah, it's crazy when you put it that way, but it is coming up on 10 years now. Still feels like it was yesterday since that ACC championship run and Sweet 16 run. But I'm excited about where the program is at and the future. Last year really was exciting, kind of got the juices flowing again and got the excitement back to Canes hoop. So hopefully we can build on it this year. We got the talent to do so, and we got another great coaching staff. So it's nice, it's exciting, and I gotta say, especially with the football team being where they're at, I think everyone's ready for some hoops.
Yeah, plenty of time to talk about football. We're here to talk about basketball. We're gonna crush this, Justin. Okay, just to recap: 26-11 last year, first Elite Eight appearance. So going into the season, picked fourth in the ACC, 28 in the AP poll, just missed the top 25, which Miami doesn't usually get that close, going into a season. It's only happened 3 other times. Number 42 in Ken Palm. Let's get right into it, Justin. Let's start with the backcourt. Let's start with Isaiah Wong. Back again, another good year last year, 15.3 points per game. His shot percent was up right at 45%, which is obviously outstanding for a guard, especially the way he plays. Justin, just your take on Isaiah and maybe some areas he could be even better than he was a year ago.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Isaiah is great. Just watching him over the last few years get better every year. As a freshman, I wasn't really sure what type of player he was going to be. And then obviously the last couple of years, he really came on the scene. I think the beauty of him is he's so consistent. So I think going into the season, you kind of know what you're going to get out of him. Again, preseason, first team All ACC. He's the leader, body language, and it doesn't maybe show that he's as emotional as sometimes you see a vocal leader on the court, but all the guys trust him. And I think you're going to get more of what you got last year. I believe 2 20-point games in that NCAA tournament run. So when it was time to step up, he did. And I think he's going to do the same this year. Hopefully, I think maybe he took a little step back on his 3-point shooting last year. So I'm sure he's been working on that, get that back up. But he does it all. He gets to the lane. He really, really gets his shot off. Reminds me, of course, I got to go back to my guys, but like a Durant Scott, where he's just so crafty in the lane. Sometimes you don't even know how he gets those shots up, but he does, and they go in. So excited to have him back, and I know he's going to be one of the key parts this year.
Yeah, you touched on his overall scoring numbers. Obviously, 2 different teams from where they were 2 years ago. Not getting a lot of wins until last year. So 17 points a game a couple years ago. You touched on the 3-point shooting. So 37% limited shots as a freshman, 35 that second year, and then last year dropped to 30. And I think honestly, with his shot, I think he can get closer to that 35 that we saw him at. As opposed to the 30. And I think if you do that, make a couple more threes, or if he shoots it, one of the things that really impresses me with Isaiah, with his getting a shot off, is just his mid-range, just being able to, his step backs, his kind of follow, just how tight he is, and being able to get that shot off and getting good balance and knocking down shots and then going to the rim. I love when Isaiah is aggressive, going to the rim, getting to the free throw line. I think that took he was shooting, his attempts were a full attempt less than it was a year ago. So getting back to that aggression. And I think, I think he took back last year in terms of he understood what Cam Auguste was bringing to the team. Right. I think he, I wouldn't say stepped aside, but certainly with how Cam was kind of running it, and Charlie, and you said that those tournament games when Isaiah stepped up. And I think you're just going to see more of that, even though they certainly have another capable guard this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. That was a good point too. Sometimes being able to, and take a step back might not be the right word, but take that less shot per game because you got the guys around you. And that's why I think the team was so special last year. It was because they played together. You didn't have any egos. You didn't have any jealousy. These guys just had fun out there. I think we could all see it as fans. And I know the coaches were talking about that all season long. This was just a great group of guys that played together. And that's you know, thanks to him, because he's the star, and if he wanted to be selfish, he could, but he really made sure it was a team environment.
So Nigel Pack comes over from K-State. I got to see him quite a bit, in his 2 years there with the Wildcats there. He's a very interesting player, 17 points a game, first team all Big 12 there. His shot, just being at practice, you see the numbers with what he's able to shoot from the 3-point line. It's really impressive, but you watch him and he just doesn't miss. I mean, he just has a very good form. I asked Bensley Joseph what he thought about it. He's like, well, I don't, it's great, but I don't want to pump him up too much, but he's certainly impressed by what Nigel's bringing to the table. He slides over more on ball, hand on the ball. He's going to be this team's point guard. I don't think there's any question about that. I think that he's going to be doing that. And that's what I've seen in practice. What does Nigel bring in and essentially kind of pairing him with Isaiah? What do you kind of foresee with the both of them being able to score the ball?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I haven't seen him play that much, but I did have to give a call to Coach Larranaga this morning since I knew I was going to be coming on here to talk Canes hoops, and I wanted to know a little bit more of what I was talking about. And so he pointed out some interesting things. He said it's going to be a different type of backcourt. He's not the quarterback that Charlie Moore was last year, and although he's 6 feet, I believe. He's not the freak athlete like a Shane Larkin. So brings a different type of player to the backcourt. His range is deep, and he's going to be hitting a lot of shots from what I hear. And again, another one that I am told is a team player, not coming in here to try and take center stage. He wants to win, and he's going to be a great backcourt mate with Isaiah.
It's fun kind of just watching him, with his shot. He kind of, even though he's a point guard, he kind of floats a little bit. Sometimes he just finds spaces and spots up. I find that to be interesting. And like you said, with Shane was so good about, shooting over the top, either those high pick and roll type situations.
Yep.
So, and one of the things that's great is Coach Larranaga, not just all of his experience he's had, but just experience with scoring guards. He kind of can adapt. It seems like, Justin, you were around that. How much do you think he pays it? Because look, if you play at Miami, I mean, Miami's known, for years now that they have good guards, and he seems to be able to maximize that. What do you think Coach does with the backcourt in particular? And I definitely want to get a rundown on the rest of the guys, but just maybe Coach's approach to dealing with guards.
Yeah. What I find is that Coach L thrives, especially with mature guards and a mature roster. So I think we saw a little bit of that last year. And now, again, I guess he would be a junior this year, Pack, and then Wong, technically a junior, but fourth year. Having guys that he can trust and just let them do their thing. That was kind of the beauty when you had guys like Shane and Duran Scott, you had Angel and Sheldon. Coach L didn't have to coach them on every single play. These were mature guards, and they could kind of get into their sets and do what they're capable of doing. So I think that opens up the door a lot for these guys to do what they want to do, and be able to play their game while still following, of course, what the team's looking to do. So will be interesting to see that.
The way I'm looking at this rotation, I think it's, projecting the starting five with those two guys. I think it's going to be Wooga Poplar in that that 6'5" wing, kind of small forward, if we're talking about traditional positions, but just that wing guy. I think it's going to be him. They can go different routes with it, but with Wooga, year two, talking to him, he's definitely more comfortable and kind of learning how to play with the other guys because he's on that top unit quite a bit in practice. He said he's just trying to find his role, and for people want him to step up and kind of be this a high dynamic scorer or anything like what McGusty was. He doesn't. I just don't think he has to be that on this team this season. I think he's got a right approach: defend, rebound, do those things, and kind of hit at a good percentage, whether it's driving the lane or making shots.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think he's just got to find his spot, play hard, be a defensive guy, and like you said, when it is his time to shine, of course, take advantage, make some shots. But yeah, I think he's going to be a hustle guy. I think he's going to be great now as a sophomore, a lot more comfortable. And then, it's between him and Anthony Walker for that last spot. I think depending on chemistry, depending on different opponents, I think you'll see a little of both. But two guys that have a lot of talent, and now it's time to kind of fit into that rotation, fit into that spot, and get their opportunity.
Just your thoughts on Bensley Joseph. Year two for him, a point guard. Watching her in practice, he's making more plays than I saw. Didn't see him a ton last year, but at practice, but just kind of, he seems more comfortable. Kind of just left-handed guy, kind of can make shots, and it's interesting. But your thoughts on Bensley?
I love him. Last year I was actually at the FAU game. That was not a nice performance. We came out with a win, thanks to Wong on the buzzer beater. But the two guys that stood out to me that game was Poplar and Bensley Joseph. So, and they're freshmen. Why did they stand out? They were just playing hard. They were playing physical. They actually wanted to win. They brought it in a game that maybe some other guys were overlooking. And so I think same thing. He's going to get his opportunities led by working hard in defense, and then we'll see how much he's going to contribute in other ways as well. But seems to be hardworking kid, and he's going to shine in those moments.
The next group of guys is interesting because I think those four kind of, with Wong and Pack, certainly the scoring types, but those four in terms of minutes, I think are ahead of this other group. But this next group, Harlan Beverly's back at practice. We'll see how healthy he's going to be with Ja'Kai Robinson, Christian Watson. I have him there in the backcourt too, a freshman. And then, Filipos Gogos, walk on as well. So that's kind of the 8 guards, the way they got it right there. But any of those guys in particular you're intrigued by, or maybe can provide some good minutes for UM?
I haven't seen, well, I love Harlan Beverly. When he was a freshman, I thought he was great. I mean, I know he's had some setbacks, some injuries, not sure what his role is going to be after a long time being out. But I think he's got a great game, and I hope he gets some opportunities this year. And then I know how Coach Larranaga thinks, and I know for some of these freshmen to get that chance, it's going to come down to defense. So if some of those guys that you mentioned can show through practice and through their game opportunities some hard-nosed defense, just like Ben's did last year, I think they'll get their chance. And hey, I'm always rooting for the walk-ons, former walk-on here. And so any chance he gets, hopefully he makes the most of it. And I'm always going to support the walk-ons.
Yeah, from a defensive standpoint, I think Christian Watson's one intriguing guy. If you can get it with his length, he just has good athleticism. I like that size on the perimeter there, so that he's kind of the one to watch. And I know that they would like for him to be that. So we'll see how his minutes goes. But like you mentioned, Justin, let's switch gears. Let's get into the Q&A here. We've got some questions from fans on the Inside the U message boards, and I definitely want to get to as many as possible. We'll kind of go through it as quickly as we can. I thought there were some good questions in here, and I just want to start off and ask you this one. So B Griffey one just said, last season, are we good? Was last season just lucky? Your thoughts on that?
I definitely don't think it was lucky. I think we were good. And again, it does remind me of that 2013 team just because it was unexpected. It was a mature, older team, mostly juniors and seniors. And I think everyone just came together and wanted to win and played like a team. So if we can have that same type of buy-in, over the last 10 years between 2012 and 2022, there's been some teams that were a little more selfish. And I think why last year's team was special is because they were not. So if we can keep that same attitude, I think we'll have something similar. And final answer, it was not luck. I think that team was good last year.
Yeah, and I showed it kind of throughout the year. Jax here says Nigel has a hefty NIL deal. Is there any jealousy towards him by other players? How smoothly is he melded with the team? I know this is a national topic that I definitely just want to touch on. Look, I'm not going to pretend like I know how everybody's reacting towards him. I can say at practice, especially him and Isaiah, they're side by side in all the stretching, going through warmups. They certainly look like they're having a good time. I can't imagine it really is. And just kind of, looking from afar and how Larranaga kind of handles team stuff, I can't imagine it being an issue. But any comments you have, anything you want to add, Justin, to that?
I mean, I agree with everything you said. I could totally see on the outside looking in how it could create some jealousy and some situations that we never used to have to deal with before NIL was a thing. But everything I'm told, especially from Coach L, is he's a great kid. He's a team player, and I haven't seen any sort of issues with that big NIL money that he's getting.
Kane fan 1272. Coach L looking to find a starting group for the year and be rigid with the lineup, or will he adjust depending on the opponent, like starting Walker against a bigger front court? Just, I know you touched on it earlier. Just your thoughts on maybe, because we've seen, Larranaga preferably would not like to change the starting five. He has the good teams pretty much all the way through, start to finish. He likes to have guys play hefty minutes, play together. But your thoughts on maybe this one, because it is a little bit interesting in terms of which way they could go on some things.
I think that the four are pretty much set. Pack, Wong, Miller, and Omier, if that's how you pronounce. But between Walker and Poplar, my opinion is he's going to try a little bit of both, find which lineup clicks. And then at that point, it's going to be forcing other teams to match up with us. So I don't see him trying to go big against a bigger team and small versus smaller team. I think we're going to do what works for us and make other teams adjust.
Hand warmers 2018. Who will be the team's best shooter after Pack? I feel like we touched on it with Wong. I expect Wong to shoot better from three. Also, another guy I think to pay attention to is Jordan Miller. He shot 29% from three last year. He was a 33% shooter. And obviously those aren't extremely high numbers like what Pack's bringing to the table. But I think Jordan just being more comfortable in the system, I feel like he could be a guy that hits threes, 19 of them a year ago. I could see him, being closer to mid 30s as opposed to high 20s.
Yeah, 100% agree. He's the guy that I'm most excited to see this year. He really started off slow last year, adapting to a new team, a new system, and then when it started to click, he was the guy. And everything that I'm hearing is he's just getting better every single day, and no ceiling on him. I think he could be a shocker this year to everybody.
Yeah, we're going to get into that once we get to the front court here. Let's wrap a few of these up here. We'll get to some more questions. Goot 16, will this team compete for an ACC championship?
Absolutely. I mean, hey, it's the best basketball conference in the world. It's tough to come out and say that, but knowing what we did last year, knowing who we're bringing back, absolutely going to compete for an ACC championship this year.
And I think one reason why you feel comfortable in that, not just Larranaga and understand how to navigate a season, but just when you have a guard-led team with the guys that can score, when that's not the issue, at all, you feel good about a team being successful. And a lot of teams in the ACC would like to have Miami's backcourt. So that is a starting point. We saw what it did a year ago. We've seen it with other good teams Miami's had in recent years under Larranaga. That we touched on the guards, but that's basketball right now. And having good backcourt gives you a real chance, week, game in and game out here. Edgewater Kane, can we expect Ja'Kai Robinson to be in the rotation this season? And following up on early reports, which freshmen are impressing and could expect to have a role early? Just touching on Ja'Kai, I just think he's behind these other guys. I think they've got other guards that they'd go to. Ja'Kai's still learning, redshirted last year. I know people might be intrigued by his recruiting ranking, but I just think he's behind some other guys. But Justin, on the freshman question, are you hearing anything? Maybe your thoughts on some of these freshmen. There's 4 of them here, and we are going to get into them considering we've got 3 right here in the front court, but just anything in particular with those guys?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard much about Robinson. I think what you said is true. He's a little bit behind some of the others, and overall, this group of 4 freshmen, what I'm hearing is they're freshmen, and they got a lot of work to do. They're not there yet, but like I mentioned earlier, defense is going to get them their opportunities, and I heard that Watson and Casey are the 2 that are showing it on defense, so they'll probably work their way into the rotation.
So Miami shot 37% from 3 in conference games, which ranked 5th. Question here, Mike, you bless. Would you agree that we have more or better shooters now than last year?
That's a tough one. I mean, right away, I think of Charlie Moore. I don't know what his percentage was, but he was hitting some clutch shots last year. But hey, now we got Nigel Pack, who got 45% from 3 last year. I mean, with that coming in, gotta say there's a chance we're an even better shooting team this year from 3.
Yeah, Charlie 36%, Cam McGusty 36, essentially the same there. Also, Sam Wardenberg shot it at 41% there. So maybe better, maybe quantity wise last year, but with what Pack's bringing to the table, and I expect his quantity to be good in terms of attempts, getting shots up. So
yep.
Last one here, and we will answer this question, then we'll take it right into the front court, because Dolph Terry asked, do we have enough size and strength to go against a power-based team with a big man at center? And obviously looking at North Carolina, what Duke's going to bring to the table. So let's answer that. Let's get in the front court. But your thoughts on answering that question?
Hey, on paper, I think the answer is no. But as we've all seen over the years, small ball works. Guards really lead the way in college basketball. And I do think that we're going to have to make some of those teams play smaller, keep up with us, fast pace. And we got to work with what we got. So I think size wise, we're on the smaller end. Coach L said we're not playing small ball, we're playing smaller ball this year. So it's obvious. And now we got to try to make teams keep up with us.
I think one thing, and this will be what we'll be watching with North Carolina, preseason #1 team, bringing everyone back, is when teams have size, and we've seen this with other teams, do they use it to their advantage? And I think sometimes teams get away from it. I think North Carolina's going to be fascinating. Are they going to pump the ball into Backcourt inside? Or is Caleb Love, like what we saw in the national title game, going 5 for 24, shooting the ball, essentially shooting the team out of it? So I think in terms of efficiency and sometimes like that, I think Duke, we've seen that at times where they just don't force it in there enough.
Right.
And I think sometimes teams get away from that, whether it's modern day basketball or whatnot. But certainly going into it, maybe I think we saw this with Auburn last year in the tournament when Miami faced them. They just didn't use it to their advantage. And I think teams let teams off the hook sometimes. So front court, let's talk about Jordan Miller. What impresses you? To me, I really liked him when he came over from George Mason. Now, I wasn't predicting he was going to go off like what we saw last year in certain games. However, I didn't expect him to struggle early. I really liked his all-around game. I think, like you said, I think he's more comfortable. I think he's going to end for a big year this year with everything he can do on both ends of the court. He's a lot of fun to watch because of that. And obviously kind of just watching lefties shoot the ball is a lot of fun too. But your thoughts on Jordan and maybe why he's going to be good. And then obviously, maybe if there's anything that you're hearing about Jordan.
Yeah. Totally agree with everything you just said. I was very surprised to start last year when I was hearing such good things about this guy, and he wasn't producing. But man, as the season started to go, he was definitely one of the keys to the team. I'm excited. I mean, I think everybody knows what our backcourt looks like and what they're going to have to do. And I think Jordan Miller could be that X factor where teams are going to have to match up with him. Teams are going to be so focused on Wong and Pack. Who are they going to throw on Jordan Miller? And like you said, both sides of the floor. I really saw him bring the toughness last year in the tournament. He was the guy that wasn't backing down to anyone. He was going up against anyone, blocking dunks, and I'm really excited. I talked to Coach L this morning. He's really excited. He's the guy that's just day in and day out impressing people and getting better. So I think he's going to be exciting.
And his numbers eventually, once the season was finished, very impressive. So he's 56% from the floor. Like I said, the 29% from three. I think he's got to, obviously, because of his track record, he could get that up. He led the team in rebounds, not a big guy, but 5.9 rebounds, get some assists, 1.8 steals, certainly impressive, gets some blocks as well. But I think he's in sort of 10 points a game. I know there's other guys that can score, but I wouldn't be surprised if that number got pushed up, closer to the 15, maybe the 13, 14, 15 range, just because I think he can do a lot of different things. And his bounce is really impressive. It's a lot of fun. Like you said, the toughness, the energy he plays with. I just think if we're talking about, I don't want to say anybody's replaceable, but what he brings to the team, there's not other guys that bring that level of all-around ability. So his importance to this team, I don't think there's any question of it.
Agreed. He's the X factor in my opinion.
Let's Norchad Omier coming to the team from Arkansas State, bringing something we've not seen at Miami. It's very intriguing. I want to get your thoughts on this one. I want to pump out his numbers here. I just moved it off, but yeah, Sunbelt Player of the Year, 2 years at Arkansas State. They're listed at 6'7". He's 17.9 points per game last year, 12 rebounds, one of the tops in the country. I think this rebounding is certainly going to benefit the team. I'm very curious just to see how he is integrated in the offense, because just being at some of the practices, it's tough. They're not throwing in like low block type stuff, let him go to work type things. The 18 points a game, using his athleticism at that level. I'm just going to be very interested to watch it with him and his scoring. He certainly has got ability, 63% field goal percent last year. So certainly a high efficient player, but I'm just really intrigued by him. Maybe any thoughts, Justin, on, Norchad and what he hopefully can bring to this team?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't gotten to see him play in person. I'm hoping to catch a practice next week, but I talked to Coach L, and he pretty much said, "Hey, it's going to be night and day from last year. Last year with Sam Mortenberg, 6'10", more of a skilled guy who could play on the perimeter, 6'10", 215. Now we go to 6'7", 240, 250, and this guy is gonna bring it. He's athletic. He's gonna be physical." But yeah, like we're gonna be going small, and all the accolades from the Sun Belt are impressive. Let's see how that translates to the ACC. I think it will translate nicely, but ready to see it.
I think again, what's great is he doesn't have to be the focal point of this
Right.
offense. With the guards, I think he can kind of fill this good role. Another thing, he's over 70% from the free throw line, so I think the guards will look for him and just has to be ready. Stay out of foul trouble. That'll be big for him. Sometimes he got in some trouble there at Arkansas State, but yeah, stays on the floor. The offensive rebounds, that'll be big for him just to kind of clean up, and just kind of his personality. I don't know him a lot, but just talking with him, he seems like he's okay with whatever role he's in. He doesn't, obviously he wants to do as much to help the team, but he seems like a guy that will certainly understand what other players are bringing to the table. He says he's really having a lot of fun getting to know Jordan and really learning from Jordan quite a bit. And he's looking forward to UNC and Baycott and kind of the challenges when those come up. So he's looking forward to the challenges. Anthony Walker, maybe your thoughts on where he can be improved. Possible starter. He's been around, and certainly shows flashes. But your thoughts
Yep.
on Anthony's year this year and going into it?
I've always really liked him since he was a freshman. I think he does bring something that this team needs with, being 6'9" and athletic. Uh, I think he's got to make some better decisions when he's on the court. I think, when he's in, you're going to get some nice plays in the past, but he's going to have a turnover. He might have some stupid fouls. So if he's able to mature with his decision making, I think he's going to fit in nicely, and we really need him to, because he's, like I said, 6'9", brings more to the table, and more height that we need. So I'm hoping that it starts to come together for him this year. I've always liked him. I think he could be a great piece. Just got to make some better decisions, no turnovers, no bad shots,
And
things like that.
yeah, and there's three freshmen here. I just want to touch on them real quick. Uh, with AJ Casey out of Chicago there, Danilo Jovanovic, and also Favor Ire. With Favor, he's fun. I had a good conversation. I'm going to post an article on that. But I saw him putting in some extra work, and we had a good conversation about how he likes to do that, this extra work stuff, understands it. He also said, he's not the only one. And he said it's great that he's on this grind, but also he's seeing his teammates doing this too, whether it's workouts before or after practice, just get more shots up. And he just says he likes that just the camaraderie. And also another guy that I talked to with Thomas, another walk on with Osterbrook there, and he had Division I offers, and you just don't see too many walk-ons that have the size and athleticism that he has there. So that's some good looks that he's able to provide. So those guys are kind of in the mix. AJ Casey, I think, is a guy to really pay attention to in terms of his development, because I think in time, whenever his time comes, I think he's got a chance to be a real good player. Obviously, if the work ethic with these other guys are there too. But any thoughts on these other four here?
Yeah, no, I agree with everything you said. I mean, I don't know how ready these guys are this year. I think Casey hopefully will be ready. And I think he can shoot the ball as well, I hear, which the team never hurts. But yeah, I mean, look, I was there for 4 years. I kind of saw the development from guys as freshmen, sophomore, junior, seniors, and all these guys are in a great place. If they just put in the work, like you said, they're doing. Their team guys. When somebody comes out, they got to be ready to step up, and I think they will. But the two freshmen that I'm hearing we need to look out for is Casey and Watson.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. And Justin, before let's get into some bold predictions. But first off, can you talk about, like you said, what you saw there? And again, my standpoint, looking from afar, the energy and just the positivity that Coach Larranaga has with the program. Can you touch on that and getting the most out of guys? It seems like. Can you just touch on maybe the way he handles a program, runs a program?
Yeah, definitely. I could say that Coach Larranaga definitely gets the most out of guys, and I think that is one of the most impressive things about him. And it's in a more unique way than probably the norm. He's not, especially these days, the rah rah in your face, yelling, screaming, trying, yell at you, belittle you to get you to step up and want to fight for him. It's quite the opposite. He's more of that teacher, kind of soft spoken. I mean, look, he has his moments. He has his whistle when he's gonna get into you, but for the most part, he's leading by example. He's building an environment that people want to be in, not trying to lead by fear. And so I saw it. Look, when I was there, we had a lot of different guys that weren't previous coaches weren't getting much out of. I mean, Kenny Kaji was a big disappointment. I would say Larranaga turned him into a really nice piece. Julian Gamble, same thing. So I've watched it in my own time. I mean, I know it's 10 years ahead now and things are a little different. Some of the coaches have been replaced, but Larranaga, I know, will build these guys up. He'll lead by example and he'll get them excited to play and have fun with it. That's the most important thing. They'll have some fun this year.
Yeah, bold predictions. Let's go, Justin. I'll let you shoot one off first. What do you got? You got a good bold prediction for this team?
That's a tough one. I'm gonna just try to come up with one right now as we're talking. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I'll go with one and then let you kind of. Yeah, I'll say Isaiah Wong's gonna win the ACC scoring title. 13th a year ago, 5th the season before that. With the guys coming back, also again more volume or just kind of improving. I think he's got a chance to really have one of these good, just kind of a special years, kind of get closer to that 20 mark. Nobody averaged 20 last season in the ACC, so I think that could do it. I think he has a chance to do that. I think, again, getting to the free throw line, that really helps his scoring numbers. I think the team really respects him. So that's a bold prediction, to make that jump. I just think he has a chance to have just one of these really good years.
Yeah, I like that one. And that's something I could definitely see happening. I'm more of the under promise, over deliver type. So it's tough for me to come out and make a bold prediction, but hey, I'm gonna have to do one while we're on the spot here. Let's say, I mean, I'm very intrigued by Jordan Miller. As far as a bold prediction, I don't know. Let's say that this guy gets up to maybe 20 and 10 and finds himself into the first round. How about that for a bold prediction?
Those are all extremely bold predictions. Yeah, I think it just speaks to his skill set, what he's bringing to the team. Maybe another one. I'll do another one here, and then if you got one, otherwise we'll wrap it up. But I'll say Miami finishes second in the ACC, picked fourth. I think there just should be a lot of respect for what North Carolina is bringing to the table. But with Duke and Virginia, I know a lot of people like Virginia and certainly Duke with its talent at the freshman level. But I'll say, Jim Larranaga kind of gets this group together to play well, and they've got a chance to finish their second in the regular season. So that'll be my bold prediction with team success there.
I like that. I'll one up you. I'll say we win the ACC this year. How about that?
There you go. All right, Justin, I appreciate you doing this. Hopefully we'll talk again about this team. Shout out to everybody for dropping questions. Really looking forward to the season. If you guys have any comments, definitely drop below. But all right, Justin, I'll let you get back to it. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, Chris. Great chatting with you, and let's